Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today, we are going to speak on the confluence of art and law, interesting topic where we would focus on how can we collect art the legal way. We know in today's times, everyone from senior level executives, small businessmen, of course, the big guys have been collecting art like forever. But there is a whole new influx of a lot of people who are buying art today, and that's why in order to avoid being misguided, there should people should know about a legal way to collect art. And our guest today is Advocate Debotam Bose. He is an art lawyer who helps people buy art the legal way, and a lot more. And he will take us through the things that we need to know before we get into art, or even if we are already buying art, and where we could go wrong, and what are the things to keep in mind. Good to see you again after some time, Mr. Bose, and looking forward to have a very interesting chat. So, at the outset, this question is also what a lot of our viewers in India would like to know. Why should we collect Indian art?
That's a great question. And first of all, thank you for having me back. It's great to be back. Great to see you as well. See, Indian art is very special. Of course, we have art from all over the world, but I think Indian art is very special. We have an incredible history of Indian art, be it, as they say, antiquities, be it miniature paintings or actual paintings, what we understand as modern paintings or contemporary, so artists who are alive. And the reason why we should collect Indian art is A, because it's beautiful, it is special. We take pride in ourselves. I think as India does well, Indians do well, they will be collecting their art. And also, as the economy of our India does well, I think the prices of Indian art, genuine art, will go up. So I think all of those reasons, we should collect our own Indian art.
Okay. Now, see what happened is that a new generation of Indians learned from the big boys, the rich people of the world, the rich people of India, that art is an investment. And when the others used to wonder that why somebody is investing crores and crores of rupees in art, the businessmen actually eventually told the others when they were chatting that no, it's an investment. We put in money, the money we get in return is much more, the valuation goes up. That's why we saw a whole new generation of people getting attracted to art. That's why my question is art principally an investment?
Absolutely. You know, art is linked to what we call as an alternative asset class. See, once people have money, they start investing. The first thing that they would invest is in properties, which makes a lot of sense. They will invest in a lot of other things, stocks, shares, golds, etc. But art is very unique. Art, first of all, is very aspirational. What does that mean? It means that, if you go to somebody's house and they have a beautiful painting hanging in their wall or at their office, in their chambers, that shows something. It shows that they have interest. They have a particular interest vis-a-vis the artist. And it also brings together another world. Growing up with art is something very unique. I know thankfully we've all gone past the pandemic, but during the pandemic, we were all stuck indoors. And those who had art at their home, it really was something very special. And I always say this, you don't have to understand art. Art is like food. You just have to like it or you don't like it. So art is an investment. Why is it an investment? It is an alternative asset class. As we had mentioned, as India does well, Indians will do well. And as Indians do well, they'll buy their own art. So as a result, if you're buying high quality, genuine art, the demand of those will only go up. As a result, the prices will go up. which means it is an investment. It may not be a liquid investment. So this is where people go wrong. So they just want to buy today and sell tomorrow. That's not what art is all about. But if you've bought art, which is good in terms of the provenance, the legal way, as I call it will appreciate in time. So it is an investment.
Point well taken. See, a lot of people would want to also know that, see, many people would collect art for art's sakes. It looks good in the house, office, other areas, farmhouses that they own. And of course, there'll be a class of people who will buy it for appreciation. There'll be another set of people who wouldn't bother. If it appreciates, good. If it doesn't, they don't bother. That's how I want to know, what are the pitfalls of collecting art?
Absolutely. There are different types of collectors. As you rightly said, there are those who really don't really understand much about art. That's the majority of it. They don't know anything about art. They would like to collect art. They have seen great art, be it growing up at their homes or at their friend's place, or as lawyers, lawyers collect a lot of art, so they would have seen it in lawyers' chambers or their homes. But when they step out to buy art, now that is really a minefield, because the biggest pitfall to collecting art is fakes and forgeries. Because now art is expensive. And if you're buying expensive art and if it is a fake, then it's worthless. So that is a big issue, because people who are buying art, they're not aware. They don't know. Or more importantly, they're trusting somebody who's helping them buy art. And sadly, there's a lot of conflict of interest. So people who are advising them what art to buy, they don't have their best interest. So the art that they're selling them are not of high quality, may not have the signature also of the artist, or the worst case scenario is it's a fake art. So these are the biggest pitfalls when you're collecting art.
Okay. Now, see, one thing that would come to the mind of any art buyer is that I'm buying art, but is it authentic? Is it real? Now, what is real or not real may not matter for a lot of people who are not investing great sums of money. You're buying art in a certain price range where a lot of things don't matter. But if you're investing a significant sum in an art or an artist which is maybe going to go up a lot in the future, say 15, 20-year timeline, then you start to worry about the authenticity, because if it's not authentic 20 years later, if you find out, you may not get the value proposition. That goes for a toss. So, how would authenticity affect the value when I collect art, or the value of the work?
You're absolutely right, Tarun. When people buy art, they don't think about this. Or even in the back in the days, when you bought art, be it a Hussein or a Raza or a Souza or a Manjeet Bawa or any of these masters that people know of, they didn't think of authenticity, and they weren't that expensive also when they were buying 20 years ago. But prices really have gone up, and they will continue to go. So what happens is that people start showing all these authenticity certificates. Okay. So think about something, a painting which was done, let's say in 1950, 1960, 1970, even in 2000s. And then you look at an authenticity certificate much later on, 2015, 16, 17. Now, a buyer who's not aware about all this looks at a painting, the painting looks great, and then here's an authentication certificate signed by, sometimes the artist. Sometimes you'll see a picture of the same painting and the artist is standing. Now, again, buyers are buying on trust. They're buying on good faith. Sadly, in all those cases, the chances of the work being authentic is next to zero, because the sophistication, the fraudsters have really learned that the buyers are unaware, they really don't know, they're trusting. So let us forge these certificates. It's very easy to create an authentication certificate. Okay, you have the image and you fake the signature, the details. It's thanks to our digital age, it's very easy to superimpose the artist's picture with the artwork. So then buyers get very easily misled, and as you rightly said, they're spending large sums of money. And so if you're buying a work, even if you don't intend to sell the work, but why would you be taken for a ride? Why will you spend a work, buy a Hussein with all these so-called paperwork and authentication certificate, and then actually realize that, well, these are all forged? And that's why authenticity is so important, because it's very easily, everybody talks about authenticity. They will show you the paperwork, but actually, they really don't mean much because they are forging all those paperworks. And as a result, the valuation of the artwork will be affected, because without authenticity, the fake work is worthless.
Point well taken. See, many people who buy art don't know about what quality is, because when you see a painting is a painting for
Yes.
people who are not into it. So, first of all, that how does the quality of the art affect the value of the artwork that a person owns? And what is quality in art? Because for many people, they would have simply very less idea about it.
Absolutely right. That's exactly it. People, they are buying maybe for the first time, or they just started buying, and they are aware of the artist's names. So for example, Manjeet Bawa, everybody knows of him, okay? Or a Hussein. But when they're buying the work, they are not aware that if it's an unsigned work, that will have that will make a big difference to the work, especially if you're going to be keeping it and eventually if you want to sell it. Because given a choice between a signed work and an unsigned work, you will always want to buy a work which is signed. So as a result, your work becomes less marketable. Similarly, the quality of the work. For example, Manjeet Bawa is known for beautiful, colorful works with beautiful animals, Krishna series, all sorts. Imagine, somebody sells you a very ugly looking animal, and it's Manjeet Bawa, and you still spend a fortune buying that work. But you don't realize that that's a low quality, low grade work, which means that if you ever try to sell it, you will never get the price and you're limited. Now, these things matter because when you are buying work, they're expensive works. You're going out there and buying works. So if the quality is not there, your artwork valuation will never go up.
Point very well taken. So then comes the question that how does one collect good art at all levels of financial commitment, as in how much, I mean, at all levels, from the mid level to the high level, how does one collect good art?
I think that's a great question, Tarun. And it's important to realize that, what is good art? Because ultimately, it is equally subjective. It's something that you will enjoy. But there is an aspect of objectivity as well, which means that, it's collectible. What does that mean? That it's aspirational. So, how do you figure that out? This is where attending art fairs, going to museums, getting to know collectors who have collected art for decades, if not longer. When you're invited to their homes or their offices and you see great art, fantastic collection of art, and that becomes a yardstick. And that's when you say, wow, this is how, that's how a wonderful Manjit Bawa paintings looks like, or a phenomenal Sabawala looks like, or a Hussein. Now, I'm not saying that you'll be going out there to buy such a thing, but you're training your eye. You're looking at good art. And when it comes to you buying your own art, then you will know, okay, this quality doesn't look right. Because I remember looking at a Manjit Bawa and looking at the figures, looking at the color of the sky, looking at the treatment, look at how versatile, how rich. That only comes when you have looked at good art from various sources. And I think once you've done that, you've taken some time out, okay? Or if you don't have the time, talk to professionals. Part of our practice is to help people collect art, and art in a legal way, which includes good art, high quality, genuine works of art, which will appreciate in value, whether you sell it or not. So I think that's important, to go out there and look at art.
One question that would arise then from this is that, see, a lot of people have money, but then they are not able to decide the budget, how much to allocate for this. What should be then the budget across classes, according to you?
So this is great. I say this, and I've said this to a lot of my friends, and I really mean it. Imagine, everyone has at least one car, if not two or three, depending on your family members, your needs, etc. Imagine you're going to be changing your car, okay? And I say, see that as your budget for buying art. And it could be any category, depending on what you're used to. So once you have in your mind that, look, this is my budget because I can afford this car. I've already bought this car. I'm going to be buying another car in this category or a higher category. That becomes your budget. Now, I also add to that saying that, every year you'll have a special occasion, be it your anniversary, be it a special birthday of your loved one. Instead of buying a very expensive watch to yourself, because you already have, or buying expensive handbags, etc., gift them an art piece which you will live with. I think that is so important, because then, you have a budget that you already had in mind to spend to buy something very expensive. You're adding to your already budget that you said to yourself that, I would have spent this amount of money for a car, so that is my budget for art. And you're using a special occasion to buy art, because then you will remember your purchase. And then over the years, you will keep doing this and you'll build up a fantastic personal collection of art, and within a budget that you're comfortable with.
Point very, very well taken. Now, see, a lot of people, they love art for art's sake. They like going to galleries, they like seeing art, and they want to support artists. So they are not into the value going up or so. And such people may be higher middle class or the very rich. It's not necessary that only the very rich. A lot of very well-to-do Indians would love to support artists. So how do they go about doing it?
I think this is very important. Supporting artists is such a fulfilling way as well to see the art that you enjoy, the artist that you respect, and equally being a patron of that artist, to see how her journey is growing. Ultimately, more the artist gets to exhibit, more the world gets to see, appreciate, and also there has to be a critique of that artist's work, their perception of the world, how they see the society changing. So when you are looking to collect art, when you're able to travel, you attend your artist shows. That is so important to turn up when the artists that you're supporting, you attend their shows, particularly when they're exhibiting at art fairs, because the artists are always there at the gallery, at the booths. So, as a patron, as a collector, as a supporter, when you turn up for the artists, it really means the world to them. And it's a great experience. We've few months ago we had the India Art Fair, end of January, beginning of February, and it was a fantastic experience. For family members to bring the kids, see such wonderful art. So we are right now. Next week is Venice Biennale. Again, very much contemporary artists will be exhibiting. For the first time, master Indian artist Jamini Rai is featured in the Venice Biennale. So these are great times for Indian artists, both contemporary and masters. So just being aware, being able to turn up for the shows, and talking about art to people to get them excited and interested. I think that is the best way to support. Everyone talks about the value and the money of art. I think that's not the way forward. The way forward is to excite people, encourage people, get them to, be part of the art community and widen the community, and not keep it a select few and unapproachable. That's how
Now,
you support artists.
one thing that I also want to ask you, that when should a person start collecting art, at what age and stage of life? Of course, I mean, if you're born in families that have been collecting art, that's a different thing. But obviously, this question is for people who are wanting to get into it, or someday would want to get into buying art.
Exactly. There are those who are very lucky and they're born into families that have incredible art and they'll inherit art. But it's for the first generation, who are working and they travel the world and they get to see great art and they want to collect art, and they have homes, beautiful homes. So the best time is now. Okay, I would say the best time is yesterday, but the best time is now. Start with the budget, as we discussed. Have a budget in mind. The car budget is a great one because you can identify it, and then create special memories when you're collecting art. Be it your anniversary, be it a special birthday, but at least you're able to collect art every year, if not one, maybe four, but you start now. Don't think, oh, I can't, I don't have the time, I'm not sure. And don't get too hung up, it has to be this. Have a much broader mindset in terms of collecting art, because it's a whole journey. You have your whole life ahead of building your collection. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is your expression, your journey, and most importantly, if you're able to share it with your family, be it your husband or wife and your children or parents. So time is now.
So one final question that I would want to know is what art liars do, or what like someone like you would do. I mean, in terms of assisting, if you could introduce us to this area of art law.
Sure. So art law is all about helping collectors when they're looking to collect art the legal way, which means that they are able to buy high quality work, that the work is genuine, it's vetted out, what the lawyers call, we've done a due diligence, and the process is smooth. Equally, a lot of people inherit art. They have got a lot of art. They don't know what to do with it. So we would help them in terms of valuation. How much is it really worth? Are they genuine or not? Authentication. And then eventually find them good homes, because they may not be interested in it, or because the prices have really gone up and it makes sense for them to cash out, and use that money for their own businesses or their children's higher education or whatever. And then artists themselves, they require legal advice, because now Indian artists are global, they're in different parts of the world, they need representation, they need advice as well. And ultimately, it is a one stop shop for somebody who may not know much about art but is very interested. As we discussed, there are serious pitfalls of collecting art. People are spending good money in buying art, and the scamsters are really sophisticated. They're creating these fake authentication letters, fake provenance, which is the link between the artist and the current seller. And it's very easy to take people and misguide them, and ultimately they end up collecting art which is worthless. We've had this in the newspaper recently. A guy was taken for a ride and he spent a fortune, and he trusted his friend and some dealers, and they just sold every single piece. And he also didn't consult people. So it's important that you consult professionals like myself and get the advice and buy art the legal way.
Okay. Point very well taken. Appreciate your joining us there, both of them both, and look forward to our chat next year. I think a lot would change in the world of art and a lot more Indians buying art. So I think much to look forward to also in the International Art Fair, that because this year just happened last month. So I think a year more to go, and looking forward to chat with you then. Until then, goodbye. But thank you for joining in today. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.